Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is a very simple woolly bugger. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hackle H925 barbless hook. It's at size 8, it's finished in bronze, and it's a heavy wired hook. Now, the silk I'm going to be using today is from Simplify. It's at 6/0 or 1000D, and as you can see, it's black. The bead I have coupled with the hook is from Hackle, and it's a countersunk bead at 4mm. And as you can see, it's just a plain tungsten bead. If you wanted to put a hot orange or a hot chartreuse, that works even better than this, I find. But I've only got these beads available, so I'm going to start with this. Now, as always, with the nano silks, I like to just add a spot of super glue. Now, the woolly bugger, it's obviously a very popular fly. Even today, it's been around forever, and it still produces when a lot of flies are left wanting. Very popular in America, and even here in the UK, we've got quite a following for this pattern. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I can. There's so many variations of the woolly bugger, but this is probably as simple as they come. The fly is all about movement, hence the heavy bead on the hook, and I'm going to add a marabou tail. Now, the marabou I'm going to use is the blackjack stuff. I don't think it's available anymore. It's from a company called Comp Candy, who have since ceased trading, if you like. But their marabou was always very good. So I've got the marabou here, and what I want to do is take approximately 2.5 inches, and what I'm going to do is rip it off, and as I do so, I'm just folding it in on itself to create a nice thick tail. I want plenty of marabou in this tail. Now, before I lay the marabou tail on, I'm going to bring my thread up in open turns to the bead, because what I don't want to do is tie in a little chunk here and then have a very uneven body. So I'm going to take my marabou, which I've got nice and neat now, and over my waste bin I'm just going to remove a chunk that was nearest the stem. Then I can lay that down right next to the bead. I want to get as much of the marabou along the shank as I can, just to keep the body nice and even. I'll come all the way back to approximately where a barb would be on a barbed hook. Now, what I've failed to do here, and what I usually do, is I tie in a bump of thread in the body, but I've forgotten. So I'm going to show you another way that can help you prevent tail fouling. Bring your marabou back and just get 2 or 3 turns in behind, and that's going to help with the tail fouling. Now, there's a lot of debate on the length of tail. Obviously, the longer the tail, the more chance there is of tail nips rather than takes. I think this isn't far off, but it is a little long for my liking. So I'm going to come in with my thumb and forefinger and just pinch some of the tail away. Never cut marabou, always come in with your fingers and just pinch it away. It's easy enough to do. Next thing, I'm going to add my little bit of flash, and I'm using some crystal pearl from Simplify. I've got a little bit pulled off here, and what I want to do is just tie it in as a sort of side flash. So on my side first, I'm going to catch that in. A couple of turns is all it takes. Then I'll bring it over the shank of the hook and start to bring it down on your side. Now, I've just managed to catch that wrong there. And once I've got both, I'm making a bit of a hash of this. Once I've got both bits in my fingers, I can then trap it in to where I want it. And I'll just check your side. I don't want it going awry. Just needed a slight movement there. And then I've got the length right on my side, and then I'll just take away that excess on your side. Now, going to damp down the thumb and forefinger in my left hand, and I just want to keep the bushy marabou tail out my way while I'm working. So the next thing then, we're going to add a little rib, and what I'm using is Simplify's wire. It's 0.2 millimeters in silver, and I've already got a bit here. I'm going to catch that in the length of the body on my side, and then I'll come back to the base of the fly. Next then, we're going to add in the chenille body, and what I'm using here, sorry I've lost the label, is from Simplify. It's just a simple black chenille, very thin. What I want to do is just strip back some of the chenille, so I've exposed the core, and what I want to do is just catch that in, and then I can bring my thread all the way up to the front. Now I'm going to bring the chenille over the body in touching turns. Don't need to be too fussy with this, but at the bead here I want to make sure I'm as tight in as I can be to that bead. I've got 2 or 3 turns in to trap the chenille. I'm going to pull it back now, just get a couple of turns in front of the chenille. I can then come in with my snips and remove that. Okay, so far so good. So for the hackling, I'm using hen. I'm using a hen cape. Now you can use a black cock cape. You get a different kind of feel for the fly, but the stiffer bristles of a cock cape can also help with the movement. But I like it with hen. I think you just get that slightly more movement with that sort of, with this nice light feather. So I've got the feather here. I want to strip it back to the usable part, and then leave myself a little bit of stem to catch in. I've stripped away the waste at the bottom of the feather and just left myself a little tag, and I can come in and catch that in. I've added a little bit of wax to my thread in order to keep a grip of the feather. Then I'm going to grab my hackle pliers and just grab the tip of the feather. Now the first turn of this, I want it to be almost on top of itself, like so. Nice first turn, and then I can, keeping it nice and even. It doesn't want to behave, this hackling, but it will bend to my will. Bring it back over the top in even turns, all the way through the body of the fly. Now it might look like a hot mess currently, but it does come good, I promise. Grab your wire, and you're going to chase the hackle. I'll just click my hackle pliers onto the edge of my vise. Chase the hackle back round, following it up to the top. Then I can catch in my wire, and once I've got 2 or 3 turns, I'm going to use my thumb and forefinger to sweep it all back. Then I'm going to get another couple of turns in front. Now, next thing, remove the excess hackle at the back. Just needs a touch of the scissors. And whilst I've got pressure on my thread, I'm going to just helicopter away the wire rib. He says it's reluctant to leave, but there we go. So just lick all that, keep it damped down, you can see the hackling wants to go backwards because the hen hackling's nice and soft. To just get it back out the way, and then I'm going to use a tiny spot of super glue on my thread to secure it, because what I don't want to do on this occasion, I might add, I don't want to build a collar behind the bead. I want the hackling to be the thing that sticks out first here. So I'll grab my whip finish tool, 3 turns, and then I can tighten it up. Now, just I'm sure many of you watch Barry Ord Clark's channel, The Feather Bender, and he's an excellent tyer, very technical and extremely talented. But a tip that I've saw that he does is he damps down the fly like this, and then has a straw, just a plastic straw with a slit in, pushes the straw over the fly to keep the hackling pushed back. Then he sets it to the side to dry. Now it does look really good, but I'm not that fussy. You know, this is going to be a fly that I'm going to fish with. It doesn't need to look fantastic in the box, but it is a tip if you're one of them people that like to have nice neat rows of flies. That's something you might want to do when you've finished tying the fly. It's super effective. I would fish it on its own. I wouldn't fish this as part of a team, especially not with a 4mm bead. It would be on a 10 to 12 foot leader, and I would be fishing this on its own. The retrieve, you can figure bait it, you can pull it. This fly seems to work regardless of what you do with it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.